Rain slicks the asphalt outside a San Diego EMS station while pale neon washes the bay doors. And inside, Erin Walker moves with quiet purpose as she restocks her kit with rolled gauze, airway adjuncts, occlusive chest seals, a 14-gauge needle prepared for needle decompression, oxygen setup, and a portable monitor, each item checked with the calm rhythm of muscle memory. Dispatch breaks the hush with a call for an unresponsive military patient at the harbor dock, and the rig knifes through wet streets until the pier lights throw hard reflections across standing water where a small marine team holds manual C-spine, keeps pressure on a bleeding site, and trades tight updates as they wait. Erin confirms Sheen safety, takes the lead within trauma algorithms, prioritizes ABCs, lays oxygen, checks GCS, feels for ephemeral pulse with swift precision, and pushes for rapid transport. While Mike Reyes preps a large bore IV and the monitor without wasted motion, the Marine's eyes snap open, fix on her face, and a rough breath forms the words, "Fallujah, it is you." And Erin steadies her voice, keeps the focus on airway and movement to the stretcher, and lets the mystery hang in the rain. Erin Walker lives like a shadow on purpose. Moving between a San Diego EMS station and a small second-floor apartment with blackout curtains that keep the daylight thin and quiet, she arrives early, unlocks the rig bay, and walks the same careful loop through gear checks. Gauze is rolled tight, airway adjuncts lined in size order, occlusive chest seals confirmed, IV supplies counted, and tools laid out with a practiced precision that hints at training deeper than most ever ask about. Nothing is flashy. Everything is ready. Co-workers notice the silence more than the skill. Veteran EMT Mike Reyes gives her space, but a couple of newer techs trade light break room comments that confuse calm with timid and assume she steers clear of high-pressure calls. Erin answers with a small smile and goes back to work, never breaking protocol or hierarchy. Speaking in clean EMS shorthand that keeps the room focused, tucked beneath her trauma sheets rides a small worn photo of 6 smiling faces, shown only in a glance. And together with her quiet replies, it builds a clear picture of someone who chooses invisibility as armor, not as weakness. While the next runtime clicks towards 7:15 a.m., 1 week earlier the call came in at 2:30 p.m. for a motorcycle down with possible chest injury, and Erin Walker stepped into the lane to take command within EMS scope. She ran ABCs, checked GCS, applied oxygen, and noted rapid, shallow breaths with cool, clammy skin that hinted at shock. Suspecting tension pneumothorax, she exposed the chest, scanned for an open wound, and kept instructions short while Mike Reyes placed the monitor and prepared a large bore IV. She identified the 4th to 5th intercostal space at the anterior axillary line, prepped quickly, and inserted a 14-gauge catheter perpendicular to the chest wall. A sharp rush of air answered. Chest rise improved, and she reassessed breathing, pulse, and mental status while securing the catheter and watching for recurrence. When she found a small open wound on the opposite side, she sealed it with an occlusive chest dressing and confirmed no worsening after decompression. A young EMT whispered that her speed and certainty felt like the work of a combat medic or a corpsman, and Erin gave a neutral reply that it was just training and focus before turning back to document vitals and direct the move to transport. Rain needles the harbor as blue and red strobes spill across a slick pier where a small Marine team already works the problem. One Marine holds manual C-spine, while another checks bleeding and keeps a tourniquet ready. Their talk clipped and clear as they wait for transport. The ambulance noses in and Erin Walker steps out, confirms Sheen safety, calls priorities, and moves through ABCs with steady hands. She lays oxygen. Gauges GCS. Feels ephemeral pulse with swift precision, and tells Mike Reyes to prep a large bore IV, bring the cardiac monitor online, and ready for rapid transport. Water pools under boots as the stretcher rolls in tight against the patient. Aaron coordinates the lift, keeps commands simple, and echoes findings for the record, so the handoff will be clean. The Marine's eyes flicker open, fix on her face, and a rough breath rides the words, "Fallujah, it is you." And Aaron blinks once, then stays on task. Pushing the move to the rig, Mike clocks the exchange and the question settles in his eyes. But the clock wins, and the team lifts off the pier toward the ambulance as siren and rain close in around the night. Rain hammers the box as the rig slices through traffic, siren pulsing, and the Marine on the stretcher starts to slip with rapid, shallow breaths. Cool, clammy skin, and a pressure that keeps edging down. Jugular veins are hard to see in motion, but the trend is clear. Aaron Walker keeps command within EMS scope and tells Mike Reyes to place the cardiac monitor, start a large bore IV, and ventilate as needed to keep oxygen saturation up. She keeps her cadence tight and calm as the city lights smear across the windows. Airway is patent, but effort is failing. So she exposes the chest, finds the landmarks, and identifies the 4th to 5th intercostal space at the anterior axillary line. She preps fast, inserts a 14-gauge catheter perpendicular to the chest wall, and the hiss answers as trapped air vents. Chest rise improves, and the pulse gains a little strength. Aaron secures the catheter, reassesses respiratory effort, perfusion, and mental status, and tells Mike to keep an eye out for recurrence. The Marine's hand finds her wrist, and he murmurs that he remembers a face in Fallujah and a call sign called Hunter 1, which jolts her for a heartbeat before she locks back to the clock. She orders rapid transport and keeps the radio updates clipped and professional. Rain drums the roof while the rig surges toward Naval Medical Center, San Diego, and inside the box, the rhythm settles into care. Reassess. Repeat. All business until they hit the bay. Heavy rain sheets across the canopy at Naval Medical Center, San Diego as the ambulance slides into the bay. Fluorescent lights splashing the wet concrete while a Navy trauma team stands ready with gurney, suction, and airway carts staged in neat lines. Aaron Walker steps to the head of the bed and delivers a tight handoff in mist, then S-bar format that covers mechanism as peer incident with blunt chest trauma, injuries as respiratory distress with suspected tension, pneumothorax, signs as hypotension, tachycardia, and shallow respirations, and treatment as oxygen monitoring, large bore IV and needle decompression at the 4th to 5th intercostal space on the anterior axillary line with improved chest rise. Noted, a Navy Lieutenant 03 supervising the bay answers with concise direction while corpsmen secure manual C spine control. Slide the patient across. Place the cardiac monitor. Obtain additional IV access. And call for chest imaging, blood, gas, and labs as the room settles into an ATLS flow informed by TCCC experience. Aaron steps back as essential questions are answered. Confirms there are no unresolved field medications or allergies. And prepares to clear the bay while the team moves the patient down the hall. Rain thudding on the canopy as the organized rhythm takes over. The handoff complete, Aaron Walker steps back into the trauma corridor at Naval Medical Center, San Diego, while staff move with practiced speed and the rain thuds faintly on the canopy outside. A Navy Lieutenant 03 who supervises the bay recognizes her face, hesitates for a breath, then confers quietly with a senior Marine arriving from the command wing. The corridor keeps its rhythm as carts roll, monitors chirp, and corpsmen thread past with steady purpose. Marine Colonel 06, James Whitaker, approaches without ceremony, comes to attention, and offers a firm handshake that fits the setting indoors. He addresses her by the call sign Hunter 1 and acknowledges 2 Silver Star awards that had been recorded as posthumous years before. A Navy surgeon mentions that her name once appeared on a memorial wall entry, and the words land softly, while the team maintains ATLS flow and orders imaging and labs. Erin answers in a low voice that she is a civilian paramedic now and will clear the bay once the receiving team has what they need. The lieutenant nods, confirms that essential questions are complete, and shifts focus back to the trauma room as corpsmen guide the gurney down the hall. The name Hunter 1 passes in low tones along the corridor, not as a spectacle, but as a recognition. And Erin holds a controlled expression while patient care remains the center of gravity. The corridor at Naval Medical Center San Diego carries a steady hum as the news of Hunter 1 moves in low voices. And the ATLS rhythm never falters, while carts roll and monitors speak in soft tones. Staff stand a little straighter when Erin Walker passes, offering quiet nods and brief eye contact that feel personal and professional at once. And no one breaks the flow with ceremony because the work comes first and the setting is indoors. A young Marine on crutches edges closer with eyes bright and thanks her in a hushed voice. And Erin answers with steady calm that his mission is recovery, while a Navy corpsman adjusts the sling, checks the fit against his uniform shirt, and guides him back to a bench so he can rest before the next appointment. As she continues toward the exit, the respect follows as posture and tone rather than display. And it settles into the building in the way people hold doors and clear a path, a quiet acknowledgement that the name is known here, while Erin keeps moving toward fresh air and rain and the next call that might already be forming on the radio. The trauma team pushes down the corridor, and the wheels hum against tile as the doors for the operating suite come into view. Erin Walker paces beside the gurney long enough to clear final questions and then slows, letting the Navy rhythm take over, while corpsmen keep hands on lines and monitor leads. The air smells like antiseptic and rain carried in from the bay entrance, and the work speaks for itself in clip checks and nods. At the threshold, the Marine on the stretcher rallies, Staff Sergeant Lucas Hale, USMC, finds her with tired eyes and forces out, "Thanks for saving their squad," saying she is not just a civilian. The words land hard and clean, and the corpsmen do not break stride, steering him through their own cadence, while the surgical team reads the next steps from habit and training. A Navy Lieutenant 03 meets Erin's eyes for a beat and confirms that the handoff is complete. She gives a small nod and turns away. Control, returning, even as survivor guilt flickers along her face like a shadow in the hall light. The double doors close. Monitors click into a faster song beyond the barrier, and Erin steadies her breath and chooses the next task, walking back toward the living work that will arrive with the very next tone. Morning light slides across the San Diego EMS bay as official word comes from Naval Medical Center San Diego that the surgery went well, and the station clerk places a Department of Defense letter on the captain's desk. The document is a formal service recommendation that validates Erin Walker's past heroism and current skill, logged like any piece of official correspondence and pinned on the board where policy memos live. Around the break room, co-workers who once misread her quiet manner sit with visible remorse, cups idle in their hands. Mike Reyes sets the tone by giving Erin space, offering a nod. And getting back to checklists without ceremony, the station captain gathers the team and speaks plainly about judging volume over depth, then sets a new expectation for professionalism and humility before pointing to the letter as thanks, not an award event. Erin answers with a small genuine smile and says they are here to save people today, then returns to equipment checks, restocking IV supplies, confirming airway adjuncts, and pairing monitors for the next run. The room loosens as people drift back to duties with a steadier kind of respect, the kind that shows up on time and carries its own weight. By the time the morning tones warm the air, Erin's identity is settled where she keeps it. Civilian paramedic first and ready for the next call. In a quiet recovery room at Naval Medical Center San Diego, Staff Sergeant Lucas Hale, USMC, wakes to soft monitor tones and asks for Erin Walker. He is bandaged and tired but steady, while a Navy corpsman checks vitals, flushes the IV, and straightens the lines with practiced hands. When Erin steps in, he lifts a hand in a personal salute, not a required protocol. A small private honor given from the bed, Erin pulls a chair close and settles into the hush that follows. She keeps her tone calm and present, tells him the mission now is recovery, and frames Fallujah as the past, while affirming the life he fought to keep. The corpsman notes stable numbers and nods to Erin, then draws the curtain enough for a little privacy without interrupting care. Gratitude and humility fill the space, not ceremony. And Erin stands, squeezes his shoulder once, and promises herself to carry that steadiness back to the street. She steps out as monitors hum, closes the door, and walks toward the elevator, choosing the next call over attention. The letter arrives mid-morning at the San Diego EMS station on heavy stock that feels formal even before the seal comes into view. The wording invites rather than orders and lays out meetings in Washington, D.C. to present medals and citations once recorded as posthumous. Co-workers step back and let the moment breathe, while Erin rests a hand over the long scar on her forearm and reads carefully. The station feels quieter than usual, as if the air understands the weight inside the envelope. Erin steps into the office and places a brief call to Marine Colonel James Whitaker to confirm that attendance is optional and that her service already stands honored. The station captain acknowledges receipt and logs the document the same way any official correspondence is logged. No ceremony and no speeches. The team keeps to checklists and unit chores while Erin watches rain lift off the parking lot and thinks about what the trip would mean. The choice settles on a clear axis between public recognition and the mission of daily civilian care. She folds the letter and slides it into a folder she keeps for important things. The gravity remains, steady and real, but so does the pull of the next call. Erin reads the Department of Defense invitation in the quiet of the San Diego EMS station. The morning hum low and steady. She sets the paper flat, breathes once, and feels the choice line up cleanly. The room smells like coffee and antiseptic, and the calendar on the wall reminds her where her work lives. She opens a blank page and drafts a formal letter that thanks the department for the recognition. She notes that awards once recorded as posthumous are understood and appreciated. She writes clearly that her mission field is here, serving her community as a civilian paramedic. Each sentence is plain and respectful, nothing more than it needs to be. She places a brief call to Marine Colonel James Whitaker and confirms that attendance is optional. He affirms that her service already stands honored and accepts her decision without pressure. The exchange is professional and warm, accurate to title and role, and ends with mutual respect. She thanks him for the courtesy and hangs up. The station captain receives the letter, records the outgoing correspondence in routine fashion, and files a copy. No ceremony, no speeches, only process and a nod across the bay. Erin returns to equipment checks and restocks IV supplies, airway adjuncts, and monitor leads. A new dispatch tone rises at 8:10 a.m., and she turns toward the rig with a steady step, choosing the work in front of her. The break room feels softer after shift, with pizza boxes folded open on the table, paper plates stacked beside a bottle of hot sauce, and the low hum of the vending machine filling the pauses. Boots are pushed under chairs, jackets hang from chair backs, and the coffee maker works through one last pot. People drift in small clusters, carrying a slice and a story, then letting the noise settle into easy quiet that fits the room. The station captain taps a cup and offers a short toast that centers on the truth that real strength often moves quietly and does not ask for attention. No one stands to make speeches, and no one asks for a reply. The room answers in nods, in a little laughter at a harmless memory, and in the way shoulders ease. Respect travels as eye contact and space given rather than formal words. Erin Walker thanks the team in simple language and a soft smile, then opens up a little with the idea that everyone carries invisible wounds and hidden strengths that can still serve the next patient. She points the evening toward tomorrow's calls and the shared mission, and people begin to clean the tables and pack leftovers for the crew coming on. The door swings open for a breeze that smells like rain and pavement. What remains is a sense of a team growing closer through quiet accountability, a steady promise to show up and do the work well, Night rain comes back as Aaron Walker steps out of the San Diego EMS station. And the lot glows in puddles, with no crowds and no ceremony. Only water ticking on metal and pavement. She squares her shoulders and walks past the entrance, while the American flag above the roof snaps in the wind, a quiet marker of service that keeps going whether anyone is watching or not. She unlocks the old sedan, settles behind the wheel, and the dashboard clock reads 2240. Wipers find a steady rhythm, and her breathing falls in with it as the engine eases onto wet streets. Storefronts blur and lights smear across the glass. And the city feels like it is washing itself clean one block at a time. Aaron keeps the speed low, checks the mirrors, and lets the silence do its work. In that quiet, she sets the resolve that Fallujah is the past. Hunter 1 is retired. And today she chooses the work in front of her 1 minute at a time. She turns toward home with purpose and peace. Ready to sleep. Ready to wake. Ready for the next tone that will ask her to show up and do the simple hard things. Well, take a moment to think about Aaron Walker and the quiet choice she makes every day. The kind of steady work that turns small actions into saved lives and second chances. If you believe courage still lives in everyday heroes, subscribe to this channel. Comment with the single word, honor, and share this story with someone who might need a reminder that quiet strength matters more than noise. Our aim is simple service, not celebrity. And every piece we publish keeps faith with real EMS practice and the culture of the military community without spectacle. So your support helps more true chest. Human stories reach the people who need them most. Thank you for watching, for caring about accuracy and respect, and for standing with those who show up, do the work, and let the results speak. And we will be back with more stories told with care, clarity, and heart.